I mean, you could start just by driving through the neighborhoods, looking at what's here. What are we trying to eliminate? What do we want to add? Putting that on your list of wants or don't wants.
Well, what we wanna do is get to the public hearing. Okay, that's what we wanna get to, so the work that we have to do.
I think you want to have as much as possible a clear idea of what you're thinking before you get there, though. If the public starts raising questions, what about? You want to have answers.
Well, the only question is that it wasn't even a question, they didn't like it. You know, but they probably didn't like the way the roads were paved.
That'd be a short public hearing.
It was crowded, right? We had a couple of people there.
So, back in this MRD zone where your Stonehill is and your carriage houses, I guess I'll consider back there. Home professional offices are allowed back there, home occupations are allowed back there. I mean, there's no other uses. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know, I think
But
one
even
thing-
with that, there's still that list of what's permitted in the home.
Not in that zone. No.
So we have to expand that. Allow those
But-
businesses in that zone. It was
but-
I think it was a lawyer, it was an engineer.
But you
an
have
architect,
to
it was a tutor.
you have to be careful, my opinion, or fair, because I live in one of these houses, right? Just say, I bought it for $250,000, my taxes and my mortgage are $2,500 a month. My husband passes away, my husband gets up and leaves, and I say, oh crap, what am I gonna do now? Oh, you know what, I bake really, really good, okay? If I start baking in my house, and it's not a permitted use, I'm gonna go after you? You know what I'm saying? You have a lot of people who are baking, who are selling things in the area, who live in here. Having a bake at your house is not a permitted use. How can you, if I need to supplement my income, but I wanna stay home with my children,
Then they need to be taxed commercial. That's what you're saying. They're running
No,
a
I'm just-
commercial business, so they should be taxed commercial. They shouldn't be taxed residential.
but they're in a residential zone.
I think more common is somebody running an Amazon store out of their house.
No, but, no,
Where
my,
people are coming and going.
what
No,
I'm,
it's Amazon, you have the mailman.
what I'm saying is if you specify in here you only want architects, doctors, lawyers, real estate, and a hairdresser, so only 5 uses
But that's in that book, yeah.
for certain areas, not all of them, right? And those are the only uses you're going to allow, right? Then the person who bakes and goes to farmer's market or goes to wherever and sells her cakes and cookies, it's not a permitted use. So what my point is you're saying only these 5 uses, but, oh, you can't bake. You know what I'm saying? It's not that she's having the retail people coming to her house and she's got a showcase, but I can call her and say, oh, bake me 75 cupcakes because of Christmas.
You mean
She's
kinda
gonna
like-
bake them in her house, I'm gonna
kinda
go
like
pick
all
them
the
up,
non-conforming landscapers, plumbers, and every other business we have in town?
but that's what I'm saying.
I don't know if we split hairs like that.
But
It's
if
not
you're
a
only,
retail
if you're only.
We don't know if she's baking, you don't know what she's baking for.
No, but I'm just saying, if you're in this strip here,
They
you're
could
only
cupcake.
allowing five businesses, 5 types of businesses. She's baking cupcakes and the person who bought them gets sick. And then it's brought to my attention, they're running, and I'm using a bakery just for the hell of it. running a bakery, she gets sick, well, that's not a permitted use in that area. You know what I'm saying? Like, how strict do you wanna go? Are you gonna
Well, it's
give
not
it
a
a little bit
commercial
of
bakery.
leeway?
If it's a commercial bakery,
No.
then there has to be.
But I'm just saying, my point, Joe, is
Yeah.
how
I
strict
don't know, how strict do you
are
wanna go?
you gonna,
Something I'm not
You
even
know what I'm
thinking
saying?
about.
No, I
You know,
understand, but I
something
don't
like
think
that.
we're looking to nitpick
I don't
and.
think they should have landscapers in residential neighborhood, you know my feeling, but I'm the only one who
How do
supports
you,
that.
how do you enforce that? I mean, even a baby, how do you?
I'm just using it as an example.
Yeah, but
Joe.
anything, how do
It's
you?
the guy across the street who has a landscaping truck in his driveway. It doesn't mean that he's running the business out of the house. Yeah, you Google his name, his house number comes up, but he's not having employees go there. So where do you draw the line?
Right,
of
wait,
these-
that's a different one than what you're saying, okay? Where, you know, landscaper has a phone in his living room. He doesn't have a nursery out back. Right? But they're parking the trucks on the property, which is causing the problem. They shouldn't be parking the commercial trucks on the property.
And having 15 employees show
Up
up.
and down the road,
Yeah.
yeah.
You know, so a woman, a person who's taking orders for cupcakes, it's just a
No,
phone.
I just use that as an
If
example.
someone gets sick, you know,
I used it as an example. I'm gonna, you know, that was the only thing I could think of off the top of
well,
my
maybe
head.
that
I
was a good
apologize.
example. Maybe you shouldn't have used cupcakes.
You could, as you come up with specifics like that, you could work on, we could work on the definition of it. You
Yeah,
can allow
I think
home
it's- I think it's-
occupation in
yeah.
any residential.
Right.
Or someone cuts hair at their house.
Right.
Shut 'em down.
That was,
There's plenty of people that.
that was
I'm
gonna be.
I'm not saying, I'm just saying,
Yeah.
you know,
Allowable home occupation, well, this could be pages long, could be pages long.
Well, you know,
Well, you could give criteria rather than listing
Exceptions.
specific.
It's not allowable.
You don't have to necessarily list baking and hairdresser and whatever else. Something that does not generate traffic,
or parking.
yeah,
something that doesn't involve storage of materials, something that, you know, basically coming up with a list of criteria to make sure it's not something that's gonna bother the neighbors. Rather
So
than trying
the-
to identify every possible
Yeah, you
occupation.
can't.
so the list that's in that book now, there's, I think, maybe only 6 or 7 businesses.
Correct.
None that require, like, tutoring is in there, but no more than 2 children at a time.
Correct.
Okay, so they're not lined up outside.
And you can allow, in any district that allows residential, home occupations that have no more than 1 car or 2 cars that would be at the property for the business purposes. Nothing that requires outdoor storage, nothing that generates smell or noise. You can come up with things that you think would bother the neighbors about having a business there. If if the landscaper's sitting in his living room talking on the phone, nobody even knows he's doing business.
Until the kids start arguing, then it's a problem. You know, he's running a business out of the house. All right, so, what's that?
Monumental.
My, I think I know it costs, it's time and it's money and it's pain in the ass, in the rear end for everybody, I get it. But if we started off smaller, I think,
Land area wise, you're looking at almost a quarter of your budget. So,
So we got 2.
I'm not saying it's too big, I'm just pointing it out, just be sure that you're comfortable with the entire administrative village, almost a quarter of it, being this zone and the use that you're gonna define for it.
Save this, right?
Yes, I did. Multiple times.
All right, so we have our work to do.
think what Gene said earlier, figure out what you're trying to accomplish by doing this. Is your first step.
Okay. Yeah,
Thank you, guys.
well, I might forward this to you too. This is from H2M, bringing up the, it's in your packet. What I did, I spoke to Mike Sally, actually Mike attended last week, and we did the numbers together.
Okay.
It's a secret document. I thought they were, so,
Yeah, we came up with,
so open it.
due to the cease and desist level,
That's all right, I have my stuff cooking.
that they were really more concerned with the equipment. So it's something that, and I know it's gonna get up. Okay.
Well, I know he called me several times trying to push because he had rental fees, which were being extended by the month.
I'll give you this because I have it even inside. This is going back to the camera of local purchase, you know, if you can look at that, make any comments, and you don't have to use that. I mean, but we got to spec.
I did actually talk to her today, he called me. He emailed me a copy of this as well,
Okay,
but,
then give that back to me.
I think what you can do is take that, now you got a number, and we were talking about
Right.
buying a couple cameras.
Correct.
You can look at the cost of the cameras versus, and I believe he was sending you one also for flow monitoring.
Okay, this is all that.
On the phone, he said he was going to,
Okay.
but we'd also.
Well, he might not
talked
want
about-
to do that once we really start negotiating, of course, contract. I don't think he's putting together there, even though they weren't really stop work, they still did a couple of things. But really, Capola, that's in the package, like you said, is looking at the rental, because they guys, they were working and they paid. Olympic was looking for his weekly payroll.
Okay,
So much.
what kind of damage is Corolla looking at?
55,000 total cost.
That's really not a number.
It's not. Olympic wants 3 million now. It's not, but it's something that you and I had this discussion. This could have all been taken care of if they really did what needed to be done. We're not gonna take blame for other people's
No.
mistakes. We're not doing that.
I think there's gonna be additional work that H2M is gonna bill you for.
Sure. To make it to
Which-
52,000.
Well, they're gonna charge you for the stormwater report.
And that could be an argument.
Had they done it right, they would have done a stormwater report, you would have paid for it. They didn't do it until after the fact.
Right.
So now, okay, you want 20 grand for a stormwater report, we have $55,000.
I'll see you when they change the zone.
Pull that a wash of $20,000. We're not gonna pay for it. That money goes for the county.
But that's assuming that we use it, which doing this whole.
That's done. village for it.
Should've been part of the original. Great.
So John said
Should have been, but I don't
because
know
they
if it
didn't
was.
include it, the original.
Right, but this is like
If your
the
original,
same engineering company that we had years ago.
well, if your original proposal
We'll just keep
included
going.
it, that's double the reason to go after it, because the original proposal included it, they knew it was supposed to be done, they didn't do it, and then you had trouble because it wasn't done.
Here's a copy of the original proposal.
The flood. It's my guess.
The company itself doesn't have a copy.
Should.
So if it's not in their favor, they probably don't.
Yeah, right.
You know, I mean, we got a credit of $40,000 for the soil.